Tonight, lack of experience and embellished CVs. The Grenfell inquiry. Here's... Good evening. They won a £9 million contract to renovate the Grenfell Tower, but in their attempt to do so, Ryden were thoroughly misleading when it came to their staff's abilities and experience. That's the evidence that was heard today at the inquiry into the deaths of 72 people killed in the fire at the tower block. The refurbishment director, Stephen Blake, confirmed 3 essential roles went to members of staff who were newly promoted with little experience on major projects. Rags Martel reports. For the last 7 years, Anne and Ron Rylde have been trying to save their dream home from being bulldozed to make way for HS2. The route for the £100 billion high-speed railway goes right through their 400-year-old red brick house in the Colne Valley. Now they've been told they must leave the farmhouse by Friday. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has more. A woman has been remanded in custody after being charged with the murder of her 5-month-old baby. Mariam Benzain is accused of killing her son Elias in Harrow last Wednesday. A toddler who fell from a block of flats in East London. Next tonight, the gulf between the Metropolitan Police and members of the capital's black community is wider than ever. That is according to a former Met Chief Inspector. Rod Charles is retired but is involved in training new recruits to the force. His great-nephew, Rashan, joins me now. Mr Charles, thank you so much for joining me this evening. We've highlighted many times on this programme, a string of recent incidents involving the Met Police and officers and members of the black community. In your view, just how bad are relations between the two in the capital right now? The specific incidents at the moment, but in the wake of the killing of George Floyd in the US, of course, the Black Lives Matter movement, there is a renewed focus on policing here in the capital, isn't there? Now, you are a former police officer. You know that police have to be able to police, and you actually work with new recruits to the Met, don't you? So how do you go about your training They are here to police all of London. They are here to serve everyone in London. But there is a trust issue, clearly. How do you go about repairing that trust? Is it a question of resources? Do we not have the same kind of community policing that we used to see? Still to come, we'll have the weather plus. First, the Duchess of Cornwall has visited a boot store in Piccadilly today to hear about their campaign against domestic violence. People subject to abuse are able to access safe spaces at pharmacies across the capital where they can contact specialists for advice and support. Well, during lockdown, one charity saw a 32% increase in calls from people trying to access support compared to the same time last year. Helen Keenan has more. Next tonight, 4-year-old Veer Gutke and his family were told last summer that he would need a stem cell donor in the next few years after he was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder. But just a week ago, his parents were told that they now only have months to find a match. And so they are asking anyone, particularly people of South Asian descent, to join the register to give their son a fighting chance of survival. They've been speaking to Carolyn Sim. And if you want more information about how you can become a stem cell donor, just head to our website. My next guest tonight says he couldn't have written his debut novel were it not for the fact that much of it is based on his own experiences. Gabriel Krause grew up in northwest London. His book, Who They Was, has been described as a moving and unflinching depiction of violence on our streets. And now it's been selected for the Booker Prize long list. And I'm very happy to say that Gabriel joins me now. Gabriel, thanks so much for talking to me this evening. First of all, congratulations on making that list. Just describe the moment when you found out.
Thank you.
As I mentioned there, it was your debut novel. You talk very openly about the violence on London streets, and it is largely based on your own experiences, including being at Feltham Young Offenders Institution as well. You've clearly, as you say, turned your life around, but how hard was it to talk so openly and candidly about your own life in such a very public forum? Because you are talking about real-life events, was there anyone that didn't want you writing this book? So you are on the long list. You're up against Dame Hilary Mantel. She's already won the Booker Prize twice, hasn't she? How does it feel to be in the same company as someone like that? Now, in order to get the music industry fully back up and running, the government has asked a number of venues to put on a socially distant pilot show. Grand Aid is taking place tonight at the Clapham Ground with a reduced capacity to ensure the safety of the crowd. Sally Williams has more. It's clearly a tough time, isn't it, for music venues? And you've got more bad news about a West End institution.
I know. Don't want to depress. No, it is the longest one. The longest running musical, I believe, is Les Mis. Still looking good. We've still got that sunshine coming our way.
And finally, for the last few months, the blue whale skeleton at the Natural History Museum has been gathering dust after it was forced to close like everything else during the pandemic. But staff have been busy cleaning all 25 metres of Hope the whale, along with the rest of the museum's exhibits, in preparation for the reopening next week. Chloe Keedy reports. And that is it for now. We are back with the latest after ITV News at 10. Coming up, Mary with the ITV Evening News. But from me and the rest of the London team, bye-bye.